Welcome to another episode and video on my robotic arm and pneumatic hand. Last time I focused on the implementation of the yaw movement, which is taken care of by this motor, which drives with a perpendicular setup winch, an axle, ropes for now, mounted here to the plate of the hand, and for now electrically wired to this motor. And these are the same motors. Fischertechnik power motor, although not strictly really fischertechnik, because those motors go to a ratio of 1:50 and this one goes 1:125, which makes it a lot slower but stronger as well. The end of last episode was that there is slip. Here it didn't work quite well. Here it doesn't work quite well. But yet another problem. This is, well, fixed length. It is rope. Is that a problem? Well, not quite, but this motor runs continuously, driven by this switch, which has only two positions. It goes either one way or the other. This one, being connected to this motor, goes the same way. But when it is like here and it is being drawn sometime, pulled in one way, then this has to be longer than when it is right up. And there lies the problem. The idea should be that this roll movement, the pivot, should be holding still when this one works. But how do you measure that? How do you make that happen? Because in the software right now, the motor has just one continuous movement, uninterrupted. So my idea is to put, except for uncoupling this electric wire, and make sure that this one is connected straight to the interface. Like this one is through the switch. I want to know which, if this signal here, which is switch in polarity because of the switch, is measurable, and then I can make, if possible, a signal to hold the movement, the pivot movement, and then make this one work. Of course, that's just now a theory. I have to yet measure it, so put a wire between here and a digital switch input here. If that is indeed a possibility, then I can make another wiring from here to here. Last motor input, last available motor input, and then I can make them work independently. So that is up next. Measuring, wiring, and of course this has to be connected as well, because last time the problem was also that this turned out to be a bit too flexible. And this flexibility has its cause for this flexibility to the gearing as well. So first I'm going to measure this and then a bit of reconstruction here and see where it all ends or continues. I have connected a wire here, improvised, so not through the arm, right to extension input 4. And this way I can check if, when I manually operate this switch, looking at the diagnostics interface, if it gives the desired signal. And of course I could switch it, but since I don't know how the input will be, I'll let it be. No need to play the software, run the software, because I can just do it manually right now. And if this works, I will have to do two things. First, put this wire through the arm. Not only that, but also remove this short wire which is connected to this motor, and have another wire run through the arm and connect to the last available motor input and output actually. So let's do the test. So the diagnostics interface, let's open it. There's only one available, so no problem. The wire is connected to slave 1, then input 4. Yes. So what happens now when I pull the switch? Right, absolutely nothing. Which simply means that my idea of pulling the switch and then have it stop by software is simply not possible. Which would have been possible if it was a three-way switch, but it is a bipolar switch, so no go, unfortunately. This also means that my whole idea goes up in thin air unless I come up with a brilliant other idea. And this is what diagnosis is for. Checking ideas, but as said, no go for this idea. What next? Oops. Another idea I have is to actually drive the motor using diagnostics. So now the motor is quiet and input says positive, and as shown earlier, putting the switch manually doesn't change the input. Then I drive the motor and input goes 0. So for some reason this goes blank while this goes on, this goes blank, and there comes the signal. So for some reason driving the motor is interrupting the signal, which is not quite nice. And yet another thing that forces me to make up something else, unfortunately. I found a working solution. First of all, I am using now one of these switches extra, to which this wire is going to the fourth input. The idea is that, and I had to reconstruct it here, are two rods that switch around this. However, when I first tried to put this switch in place, it turned out that the construction was such that it was not really perpendicular, but it had some deviation. So instead of former construction, I put now two clamps. And even that did not really work out, because the height and this location, I needed to have a broader plate to push it. Then, to be sure that everything stays in place, I connected both poles, both rods, with this not really great construction, but it works. So now the advantage of this new construction is that they stay perpendicular to this connection, and this switch actually works when it is pressed, and I get a nice signal. So whenever this signal is being received, which I still have to program, by the way, then this motor will be interrupted, should be interrupted, and then this motor goes, which I still have to wire. So let me first show you how this really works. So this mechanism is actually the same, and this is new, and you see how it presses the switch. It presses it a bit away. That's the part I do not like. Well, it's flexible, that is what it is, and well, this way it works nicely, and I will show you on the Diagnostic interface as well. So, Diagnostic interface with the new setup, and here you see that the motor is on speed 1, which actually is the same as in the software. And here you see that input 4 is being activated whenever it presses the switch, or the switch is being pressed. Now I still have to program, and I still have to update the wiring schematics, but and I have to route the wire through the arm, because right now it is only try out. And this is the program that I have to redo, and now is the point that this motor is counted from the main 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So motor 7 has to be programmed that it stops at input 4, or any input that I give it. So that's the solution, and I kind of like it this way. I rewired the switch, so it is now on I3, but I have to change the programming of motor 7. So where shall I put it? Well, I think these are the digital switches up to here, and if not digital 9 and 10, and I have to count through, of course, because there are 8 inputs for switches on the interface. There are 8 on the extension. I'm using the extension, so input 1 on the extension is effectively 9, so that means that 2 is 10 and 3 is 11. And keeping things chronologically means that I will program now from here. So not an else if, but an if. Although here everything is an if. Let's see, that's by the way a nice thought, because these switches are all for the hand. This is all for the vertical gearbox. So should I do an else if or an if? I think I should do an if and change this to an else if, to an ordinary if as well, and then else if and else if. So let's do this. If T digital 11, then go up, copy this one, and also comment this one out. Then set motor 7 in the right hand side direction, which I take is clockwise, speed 3. Alright, I don't mind. Then do what? It should then, no, if it hits the switch, it should hold just 0. Next, do that for, say, 2 seconds. But also, what I need to do is put the other motor, which still will has to be programmed. Come on, between here and here, that's better. So that will be motor 8, set to speed 3, for 2 seconds. Time sleep, so do it like that, and then the other way around. So let's copy. Then say, oh, that should be the other way, really the other way around. Then this to 0 and this to 3 again. So what happens is that when that new switch is being hit, the pivot motor stands still. The yaw motor, okay, this is the wrist pivot, and this is the wrist yaw. Now it's clear, hopefully. So the pivot motor stands still for and the wrist motor, the yaw motor does its job for 3 seconds. Not for 3 seconds. Speed 3. Then sleep. Do that for 2 seconds, and then reverse. Then the yaw motor still stops, and the pivot motor starts again. Will this work? We'll find out. Oh, then it's also nice if it really actually does something. So let's say print wrist pivot stop, and print wrist yaw start. Right. So let's see what this works out, how this works out. Alright, putting the new part of the software to the test. So if this switch is hit, pause for 2 seconds, then go. And I have to take out the second motor, this motor, because it is not yet wired to the interface. This one should be right here. Where does the wire go? Not where it should be. And this way I can ruin contact with the motor, so I have to fix this right now. That is one. That is two. So, motor wired again. Let's run it. Oh, the device is already open. That means that the Diagnostics probably still runs. Yes, it does. Close the interface. Run. it doesn't work. It should rest for 2 seconds. Nope. So I did something not entirely correct. Question is, of course, what did I do not correctly? So let's stop and have a little look. It looks quite alright, but why doesn't the time go by? Okay, I make it if else, or else if actually. See if that works better. No, because now it doesn't work at all. Trying again. No, the arm doesn't work at all now. Question is why? Oh, because the motor is not wired anymore. So let's try to quickly fix this. Okay, this is not going as easy as I like. Last part for this video and episode. I have changed the code a little bit to see whether this switch is being read at all, and it turns out that this isn't the case. The sensors that are continuously being read are the upper switch and the lower switch of the vertical gearbox. These aren't read because they are simply not being used right now, so when I press it, it is being done. And let me show you that it is in fact the case. So you see that it is that I can press it and it works, but this one isn't being read. The motor being properly wired is working, but the software says that the switch is not being detected. So what I'm going to do is stop the program and see for the switch if that is still working, and for the motor if this is still working. So I open the diagnosis interface, then slave, and I activate the motor, and the switch is perfectly read and the motor is perfectly working. So the wiring The wiring is correct. So my software has a little problem. Back to the software then. And the hand still works. No problem. This works. No problem there. But this is not working at all. So that means that the idea was nice, but I have to redesign it. Not this, because this works, but I have to redesign the software. For now, thank you for watching. If you like this video and episode, please subscribe to my channel. Like the video, give it thumbs up and leave a comment if you like. Follow me on Twitter, retweet and like. Follow me on Instagram and like, leave a comment if you want. Very much appreciated. Also appreciation for donation to keep videos coming to you. More information on how to donate at the start of this video, but also on my website, which is listed under this video. And well, this is going to be continued, obviously. Bye bye.